You ever see a grown woman wave a pink stun gun around in broad daylight and think, man, I must have taken a wrong turn into the twilight zone? That's exactly where I found myself, palms still stinging from the slap I'd just delivered. Neighborhood dogs howling like sirens, my phone on speaker with 911 and my 10-year-old sitting on the curb, legs crossed. Glitter jump rope on her lap, big eyes soaking up a scene no kid should have to witness. All because our HOA president couldn't stand the sound of a child's laughter. Yeah, you heard that right. I'm Evan Rohr. I crunch numbers for a living accountant, by trade grill master on weekends, lover of quiet lawns and boring spreadsheets. Our neighborhood Ponderosa Bend is one of those sleepy pine-lined loops where rumors bloom faster than the hydrangeas. The unofficial queen bee is Beverly Hanlon helmet, hair, pearl-studded visor, and a smile that's pulled so tight it could double as packing tape. She rules HOA meetings like she's presiding over a witch trial, lemonade and snickerdoodles on the side, but don't be fooled, Beverly's got a mean streak under those pressed slacks. My daughter Maya, she'd been working her tail off on a jump rope routine for the school talent show. Music playing soft from a Bluetooth speaker, the quiet slap-slap of rope on the driveway. Nothing louder than the birds. But that Tuesday afternoon, out comes Beverly, armed with a tape measure and clipboard, standing right on our property line like a mall cop on Black Friday. She didn't say a word, just scribbled notes, snapped phone pics, and watched Maya jump like she was sizing up a criminal at a lineup. Maya asked Dad, "Why's that lady staring at me?" And all I could do was shrug and say, "Some folks just got too much free time, kiddo." Of course, Beverly heard that. You could almost see her smile tighten another notch, if that's even possible. Next thing I know, warnings start popping up in our mailbox like bad fortune cookies. Improper use of public tranquility. Transient percussion after 5 p.m. Unlicensed rhythmic activity. All printed on letterhead. Beverly cooked up herself, complete with a janky official seal that looked like it had been clipped out of a 1997 Word template. Then the patrol started. Beverly patrolling the block in a neon vest and plastic badge, decibel meter in one hand, clipboard in the other, pointing that thing at squirrels, my house. Even the sky, like she's running some backyard science experiment nobody asked for. Her posts on the neighborhood app got crazier by the day. Some residents think our sidewalks are training facilities. Children's laughter wasn't what the founding homeowners intended. Yeah, she actually wrote founding homeowners. You'd think we were living in the Constitution, not cul-de-sac America. That's when the fines started piling up. $25 for juvenile nuisance, $50 for music audible from curb, $100 for, I don't know, existing. I ignored them because, come on, these weren't real fines. This was just Beverly's fantasy law enforcement. And Beverly, she did not appreciate being ignored. She started door-knocking, clipboard in hand, trying to scare up signatures for her noise pollution and property values petition. Most neighbors just nodded politely and shut the door, but she bagged 3 signatures from the retirement row at the end, folks who call the cops when someone sneezes too loud. After that, she started calling herself Director of Community Standards, added it to her emails, even had business cards made. She left one under my windshield with final warning written in red, "Not subtle Beverly." But it was Thursday night when she really lost her mind. 6:12 p.m., sun hanging low. Maya halfway through her routine, Beverly storms up screeching about ordinances and public racket. Her voice hit a pitch that made the windows rattle, ironic, since that was more noise than Maya ever made. I reached over to turn the speaker down, trying to keep things calm. That's when Beverly reached in her purse and pulled out a pastel pink stun gun, looked like a marshmallow, acted like a weapon. She clicked at blue sparks hissing in the air. Every hair on my arm stood up, every parent instinct hit red alert. Maya dropped her rope and took a step back. Beverly stepped forward, ranting about citizens' arrest and maintaining order. I put myself between them, heart pounding, and said as steady as I could, "Back off, Beverly." I wish I could say she listened. She lunged the stun gun, cracking against Maya's arm, not a full jolt, but enough to make her yelp and drop the rope. The whole street froze. For a split second, nobody moved. Then my hand shot out and smacked Beverly across the face. Not proud of it, but there it was, a crisp, echoing slap that bounced off the garage doors like a starter pistol. Beverly's face flipped from smug to stunned to absolutely furious in 2 seconds flat. I scooped up Maya, sat her on the curb, called 911, my voice steadier than I felt dogs barking in the background. Beverly just stood there, hand on her cheek, still gripping the stun gun like she couldn't believe anyone dared defy her. The 911 operator, bless her, goes, "Did you say HOA, president, and stun gun in the same sentence?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she's still holding it. Suddenly things got real serious. 4 minutes later, sirens. Neighbors popped out like prairie dogs, porch lights flicked on, phones out, doorbell cameras rolling. Beverly started her Oscar performance, clutching her pearls and screaming assault at anyone who'd listen. She played victim so hard I half expected her to faint dead away on my azaleas. Cops pulled up 3 cars, which felt like overkill until they saw Beverly waving the stun gun and babbling about property values. I kept my hands visible, told the officers I was the one who called my kid was the victim, checked the cameras. And you know what? They actually listened. One officer carefully talked Beverly into putting down the toy thunderstick, gloved up like he was handling nuclear waste. Another went door to door gathering footage. Turns out the whole block had been collecting Beverly's greatest hits, her measuring grass at sunrise, yelling at birthday parties, slapping violations on cars for excessive balloon presents. Even the squirrels had probably started a support group. EMTs checked Maya, light bruise, more scared than hurt, but they gave her a popsicle and told her she was tougher than most grown-ups. Beverly, meanwhile, tried to flash her fake badge and declare herself authorized security. The cop just stared at her like she'd grown a third ear. Authorized by who, he asked. Beverly muttered about HOA charters and community guidelines. The officer just said, "We'll wait." By sundown, Beverly was in the back of a cruiser, hands folded in her lap. Charges read off like a grocery list: assault, use of a stun device against a minor, impersonating security, brandishing a weapon. Beverly, bless her, actually said, "I don't even own a sword." Cop explained brandishing covers anything threatening. She insisted the stun gun was just a compliance tool. The officer almost laughed. The board tried to hold an emergency meeting right there on my sidewalk. 5 folks in pajamas and bathrobes huddled near my mailbox, whispering about damage control. The cop shut it down. "Ma'am, this is a crime scene. Please disperse." One board member guy in bunny slippers asked if they could at least vote to distance themselves from Beverly. The cop told him he could vote wherever he wanted as long as it wasn't on my lawn. Detectives reviewed every angle of doorbell footage, Beverly's lunge, my defensive slap, me backing off and calling 911. He asked Maya what happened. She described Beverly smelling like mothballs and disappointment. Even the detective had to cover a laugh. I signed a statement. Maya asked if we could still do the talent show. I said absolutely. Then she asked if Beverly was going to jail. Detective said that's up to the judge, but trust me, there'll be consequences. 3 weeks later, HOA meeting, different vibe entirely. Library this time under posters about being quiet and respectful. They voted Beverly out unanimous. Even Retirement Row turned on her. They passed a no weapons on patrol policy, which shouldn't need to be written, but here we are. The neighborhood got a letter distancing themselves from Beverly, promising a new era of reasonable governance. My lawyer filed civil suit. They settled quick funds for counseling scholarship for Maya and a shiny new sound wall around the playground that actually looks like public art and keeps the peace. The criminal case wrapped up soon after. Beverly pleaded no contest to assault with a weapon and impersonating an officer. The judge, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, handed down a year of probation, 200 hours community service at the Pine Corey Youth Center. Irony so thick you could pave the street with it, a 5-year restraining order from my family, and a $10,000 fine. When the judge read the amount, Beverly's jaw dropped. She actually raised her hand and asked if she could pay in installments. Judge just shook his head and said, "Your HOA status doesn't mean a thing here." Beverly's face went through all 5 stages of grief in about 10 seconds, then settled on pure defeat. And me. I finally got my quiet yard back. Maya rocked her talent show, glitter jump rope and all. Sometimes justice really is that simple. But let me ask you this, where do you draw the line between protecting community standards and just plain bullying? Would you have stood up or kept your head down? I want to know. Drop your stories, your thoughts, your own wild HOA tales in the comments. And hey, if you believe in sticking up for the little guy, hit share, tell a friend, and keep the conversation rolling. Justice doesn't just happen. Sometimes you got to slap it into reality.